Good evening, students. In last three videos, we have seen the theoretical part of cost accounting. Cost accounting, the objectives, and even the types, and most important thing, which is the format of cost sheet. So today we'll start with a very basic question, okay, where you have to calculate the prime cost. If you just go through the format, the first part, like mainly your direct expenses, direct wages, and material consumed. When you add these three things, you will get the prime cost. Just for your understanding, I have considered a short question. So just go through the question once. I'll read it out for you. Calculate the prime cost from the following information. Opening stock of raw material is given. Purchases during the year has given, and even the expenses. They may mention as expenses, or they may mention as carriage inward, anything. So here they have mentioned expenses incurred on raw material purchased, which is 2 lakhs. And last, they have given the closing stock of raw materials, which is 9 lakhs. Wages 19 lakhs 4,000, and direct expenses, which is 5 lakh 36,000. So what you have to calculate? You have to calculate the prime cost. Just please open your wherever you have written the format of cost sheet and just go through the first part, which is prime cost, calculation of prime cost. So what is that? The opening stock, add purchases, add any expenses for you must have incurred for purchases, and less closing stock of raw material. What you will get? You will get the material consumed. So here also the similar thing they have given. See here. Opening stock of raw materials is 5 lakhs, which they have directly mentioned here. And add purchases, which is 30 lakhs. It's here. And expenses incurred on raw material purchased, which is 2 lakhs. Once you add this, okay, you'll get 37 lakhs. And in this, you have to deduct the closing stock of raw material, which they have mentioned as 9 lakhs. So 9 lakhs. Once you deduct closing stock from the total amount, you will get the 28 lakhs, which is your material consumed. See, instead of material, like all these details, opening, purchases, closing, if instead of all these things, if they have mentioned direct materials, 28 lakhs. So instead of calculating these things, what you will do? You'll directly consider direct materials or material consumed 28 lakhs. So we have calculated, and now we come to know this is 28 lakhs is your material consumed or direct materials. Next is wages, direct wages they have mentioned, which is 19 lakh 4,000. Direct expenses, which is 5 lakh 36,000. So once you add these direct expenses, direct material, direct wages, and direct expenses, what you will get? You will get the prime cost. So what they ask to calculate us? They ask to calculate us prime cost. So we have calculated. And remember, when you prepare the cost sheet, you have to mention cost sheet for the period or cost sheet of some XYZ company, ABC company, and for the period of whatever. If they have mentioned any year, date, that you have to mention. I hope this is very simplest question. So I believe you understood. We will see one more question. Okay. If you want, you can take the screenshot. Okay. Next. Okay. Next question says they have given the details. opening stock, opening stock of raw materials, finished goods, closing stock of raw materials and finished goods, purchases, wages, chargeable expenses, rent rates, sales, power, factory, sales, sale of factory scrap, factory insurance, experimental expenses, office salaries, salary to salesman, commission to travel agent. So now we have to calculate the cost sheet, the total cost sheet. So again, just go through the format once. And is any direct material is given? No. Direct materials or material consumed are not given. Again, they have given the opening stock of raw materials. So first thing is opening stock of raw material, which is 1 lakh. Add purchases. Just go through once. Here, purchases are 10 lakhs. So mention purchases. There is no any expenses, carriage inward or any expenses related to purchases. So there is no need to mention that. Less closing stock of raw material, which is 80,000. So material consumed will be 1,20,000. Sorry, 10,20,000. Next, wages. Wages, they have mentioned here 4 lakh. So directly take wages as 4 lakh. Chargeable expenses. In the first theory part, I have discussed this. Direct expenses or chargeable expenses, you have to consider as direct expenses only, and you will consider in the prime cost calculation. So here, the chargeable expenses are 40,000. So consider 40,000. Once you add these three, you will get the prime cost. Okay. Now to that, if you just watch the format, the second thing is factory overheads. As I told you, anything related to any expenses related to factory, you have to mention in this head, factory overheads. So if rent rates and taxes, if they have mentioned, like for office, consider for administration expenses. If they don't mention it, then directly you can consider it in factory overhead also. So here rent, rates and taxes 1 lakh, power and fuel here 48,000, factory lighting 40,000, factory insurance which is 20,000. Just see once there is office salary, salesman salary. So this will come to next heads. So only these 4 things are in the factory overhead. Add it again, go through the format again. So here, sale of factory scrap. Something you have sold, some machinery, some maybe wastage or maybe anything. Some scrap you have sold and you got some amount which is related to factory. So sale of factory scrap, what you have to do? You have to deduct. As I told you, it's kind of revenue. So you need to deduct it. Then experimental expenses. So experimental expenses can be considered as like any development, research. So it may be related to factory overhead. So we have to add, again, it is a expenses. So we have to add that expenses. So total, this factory overhead minus scrap plus any experimental expenses. Add it. Okay. Once you add the prime cost and the factory cost, you will get the factory cost or work cost. Fine. So once we, okay, there is one adjustment here. Office salary, they have mentioned 80,000, but consider it as 84,000. Fine. So next is office and administration overhead. Sorry. Office and administration overhead. So in office and administration overhead, you just see office salary. Okay. Other than that, this salesman commission, salesman salary, everything will comes under selling and distribution. So only one thing, which is office salary, and 84,000. Once you add this office expenses or administration, office and administration expenses, you will get the cost of production. So once cost of production is done, calculation of cost of production is done, next thing is you need to check, is there any opening stock and closing stock of finished goods? Yes, in this case, they have given the opening stock of finished goods is 80,000, closing stock of finished goods is 1 lakh. Okay, so there is no need to put in the outer column. Just for your understanding, I have written here minus 20,000. So directly what you can do, 17 lakh 58 plus 80,000 minus 1 lakh, which will be 17 lakhs 38,000. So this 17 lakh 38,000 is your cost of goods sold. And the last overhead is selling and distribution overhead. In selling and distribution overhead, in this question, they have mentioned salesman salary and they have mentioned traveling expenses to some travel agent. So add these two things, you will get the total cost. Like to produce some product, you have incurred the total cost of that much amount, like 17 lakh 98,000 in this case. And here in the question, they have mentioned 20 lakhs is your sales. See, here they haven't mentioned the percentage of profit. They have mentioned 20 lakhs is sales. So we know, right? When we have sales, if we deduct cost from the sale, what you will get? You will get the profit. So we have done the same thing here. This is sales amount. This is cost of total cost or cost of sales. So once we deduct this amount, you will get the profit, which is 2,02,000. So you will get the total 20 lakhs is your sales. In next coming videos also, we will try to do more questions, more problems. Okay, so theory part we will keep little less and more practical questions we'll try to solve. Fine. Thank you once again. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. Thank you.